pre-register so they can make sure everyone's got turned in your notice of vaccination and all that stuff.
Okay. When did that start?
A couple of weeks ago.
I'm going to say 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
We're up to 11. Joel, wow, getting up there.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's so wonderful to see everybody here. I was elsewhere last Shabbat, and so I am so grateful to come back and to see everyone. You don't know what you're missing until you don't have it for a week, so I'm glad to be back. We are going to start off this Shabbat with a nigun, with a wordless melody. And as you catch on, please feel free to sing along. That's the whole thing. We welcome Shabbat with the lighting of Shabbat candles on page 120 and 121. It's my pleasure to invite up Renee Gay to light our Shabbat candles this evening.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, vetzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, vetzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. We continue getting into the Shabbat spirit with the words Lechu Naranana on page 130. We continue bringing Shabbat together, or bringing Shabbat here in song with the words Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash. Let us sing a new song to God. Shiru
Go
We are on page 138 for the words of Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu el hameyuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, v'shemo tiferet v'litzilah. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Likrat Shabbat, lechu v'nercha, ki mekor habracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Please rise in all the ways you're able. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam besimcha uvetzohala, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, boi chala. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Please remain standing. We are on page 146 for the words of Baruch Hu. La la on page 148. In the middle of the Hebrew text. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Borei yom v'layla, boleh lor mivnei choshech, boleh lor mivnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Page 152. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Before we begin our words of Ve'ahavta, I want to share a little melody that actually use the same words, but it's a meditation on Ve'ahavta. We just said words about how God is one, Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, which may sound as if we're not talking to God, we're actually just talking to other people of Israel. And yet, we know that we each have a divine spark in each of us. So to a certain extent, even though it might seem as though all the other prayers are upwards towards God and Shema is towards every one of us, to a certain extent, when we say Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, we're actually saying, hear, O Israel, Adonai is one, and so are we. We are united. And what are we supposed to do with that? Ve'ahavta. We must love each other. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך יאי די 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 יאי די 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 יאי די ידה די יאי די יאי די די ידה די 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 יאי די ידה די Page 154. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. We are on page 158 and we sing gratitude for redemption. Yai la la, yai la la la, ya la la, yai la 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 la, ya la 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 la, yai la ya la la, yai la la la, ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha spread a shelter over us, a shelter of peace. We sing the words of Hashkivenu on page 160. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom V'hamidenu shomrenu lechayim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom V'hamidenu shomrenu lechayim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom V'hamidenu shomrenu lechayim. Lechayim. We are on page 164 for the words of Adonai Svatai as we enter our tefillah, our core part of our service. It's my pleasure to invite all to rise in whatever way they are able. Adonai Svatai Tiftach Uvi Agitei Latecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotinu v'Imotzeinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Kornei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imachot, U'Mevii Gula Livnei V'neihem, Le'man Shemho Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Asarav Le'Moshiach, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chaim V'Chesed, Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Tovim V'Rofeh Cholim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mekayem Emunato L'Shenei Afar, Nichamocha Ba'al Gevurot, U'Mido please take a moment for your own silent prayer. And when you are finished, feel free to be seated. Now come to our Torah service. Woohoo, very exciting. It's always a good opportunity to enjoy Torah on Shabbat. We are on page 364. It is my pleasure to invite Susan Amaro to help with the Torah, and for everybody else to rise. We are on page 364. Please be seated. Oh, thank you, Michelle. If you are in person, you have the Torah Commentary. For our friends on Zoom, I guess you'll just have to trust me, but I will take note and I will make sure that in future you will have the text in front of you so that you can read the text as well. We are reading from Parshat Vayera, which is Genesis 18, verses 17 through 19. And it's my pleasure to call up Jonathan King for our first and main aliyah of the evening. Baruch Adonai Habarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Amen. V'Adonai Amar Hamechaseh Ani me'Avraham Asher Ani Yoseh Ve'Avraham Hayu Yeh Legoy Gadol V'Atzum V'Nivrechu V'Chol Goyei Haaretz Ki Yadativ Leman Asher Yitzaveh et benav et beito acharav v'shamru derech Adonai לעשות tzedakah u'mishpat למען הביא אדוני אל אברהם את אשר דיבר עליו.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah v'chayei olam natat b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Thank you so much. With the Torah still in our midst, we think of those who are in need of healing, healing of body, healing of spirit. If there's anybody that you are thinking of who's in need of healing at this time, for our friends on Zoom, please feel free to share their name aloud to yourself or to the person next to you, or to type their name in the chat. And for those in person, please feel free to share their name aloud or to yourself as my hand passes over your section.
Cheryl Smith, Adrian Brown, Greg Spiegel, my sister Jeannie, and
Ellen Samuel, Susan Gonzaga, and Susan Richard.
Sherry Fabian Torres, and Isabel Alexander.
We'll pause just a moment in case anybody's still typing. For those whose names that we've said aloud and those that we keep in our hearts, we sing the words of Misha Beirach on page 371. we prepare the Torah to be returned to the Ark, we are on page 374, and with the words of Eitz Chaim He, and I encourage everyone to please rise. Yai dai dai dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai dai dai, yai dai dai dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai dai dai, yai dai dai dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai dai dai, yai dai dai dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai. Eitz Chaim Hi lemachzikim ba v'tomchecha me'ushar derachecha darchei Noah v'chol netivotecha shalom. Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Chadesh Chadesh Yameinu Chadesh Yameinu Berkedem. Please be seated. As I mentioned before, this week's Torah portion is Parshat Vayera. And in just this first chapter of the portion, Genesis chapter 18, we read three stories of importance. 1, Abraham is healing from his circumcision, and yet in the midst of this healing from a very painful procedure, he receives guests. And he and Sarah welcome them with vigor. They wash their feet, they make a meal, and not just any meal, but a meal with the best ingredients that they have in their home. That's story number 1. Story number 2. Toward the end of this visit, the visitors announce that Sarah will have a son. In the ripe old age of 90 years old, this was unexpected to her, and so she laughed. Story number 3. Abraham escorts these visitors towards Sodom, and as Abraham does so, God reveals to Abraham that Sodom and Gomorrah will be destroyed on account of the wickedness in these cities. Despite still being in recovery from this painful procedure that we already have discussed, Abraham does not use this as an excuse. Abraham will not let this be, and in fact, he talks to God, trying to barter down that maybe if we could just find 50 people, just 50 good people in the whole city, then we can save it. And then he's like, well, okay, actually 40, 30, and gets it down to 10 people. This man just had surgery. This is no small feat. And God agrees, if there are 10 people who are worthy of being saved in Sodom and Gomorrah, the city will not be destroyed. While these stories each have so much to teach us, I want to focus actually on the transition between the story of Abraham and Sarah hosting these visitors and God telling and Abraham negotiating on behalf of the potential innocent human beings of Sodom and Gomorrah. In Genesis chapter 18, verse 17, we read the line, Va'adonai amar hamechaseh ani me'Avraham asher ani oseh. This verse shows a level of vulnerability and humanity to God that we don't often see in biblical text. The words are, and God said, shall I hide what I'm about to do to Abraham? And while we can read the words Va'adonai amar as and God said, the context of the rest of the sentence actually is God questioning God's self. Hamechaseh ani me'Avraham asher ani oseh. This extra hey at the beginning of the sentence, hamechaseh, is called an interrogative hey, signaling a question. Shall I hide from Abraham what I'm about to do? Should I? According to Rabbi Moses ben Nachman, also known as Ramban, who was a 12th century Mizrahi Torah commentator, we can read the vulnerability of this text further. Rather than reading Amar as said, it's possible to read the word Amar, he said, as though it refers to thought, meaning that God thought God should not keep it hidden from Abraham on account of these reasons. Similarly, we see in Isaiah 38, verse 10, said means thought, when it says, I said in the noontide of my days that I shall go. It really is, I thought to myself. And also in 2 Samuel chapter 21, verse 16, and he said, or thought to himself, slay David. These uses of the word amar really are meant to be read as spoke to the heart. So there is a saying here, but it's not necessarily saying as if I'm saying to you, how's it going? Shabbat shalom. It's really a reflective say. It's saying to the heart. When we think about depictions of God, these depictions are often from a place of strength and power and confidence and majesty and all-knowingness. This depiction of God, for many, is comforting during times of uncertainty or hardship. When you don't know what the future is going to look like, you hope that at least somebody does. Though maybe not at the same magnitude of God, we may play this role for others, serving as the strong one, the confident one, or the one who has a plan. And how many of us have served this role for others who we love? And even as we have done so, we've had questions about whether what we're doing is best. There can often be a shame that we should have the answers to these questions that people come to us with. We should know the best way to move forward. When we experience these moments, the should moments, we should know. Let us remember that even the God of the Torah questions God's self every once in a while on which road is best. God was not any less of God by asking this question, and neither are we when we, as leaders and parents and children and friends and loved ones, when we experience any sort of uncertainty. Perhaps we can console ourselves from the shame of the shoulds by reminding ourselves that when we question what way is best, we are acting like God. Can ye hear at Zon? May this be God's will. We continue our service on page 586 with the words of Aleinu, please rise in all the ways you are able. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'ateit gidula v'yotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkeinu kahem, וגורלנו ככל העולם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. Please be seated. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and of death. This Shabbat, we remember the following people. As your loved one's name is read, please rise in all the ways you're able. We are remembering Shloshim, the 30-day period since burial for Samuel Kravitz, father of Eugene Kravitz and Alla Pasinski, and Eti Slotnick, mother of Bryna Barsky. This Shabbat, we are remembering the yard site of the following people. Morris Ben Bassett, father of Nancy Holm, Ata Asanipur, brother of Bahia Asanipur. Kate Grossman, remembered by Carol Schneider. Gela Lusher, mother of Jacqueline Naftali. Bess Reback, mother of Leslie Rothbach. Barry Rogoff, husband of Betty Rogoff. Dr. Michael Schaefer, remembered by Janice Schaefer. Lucilla Villanueva, mother of Angie Gelb. We also invite all who are observing their first year of mourning to rise at this time. And we rise together as a community, together with all of our mourners and all the mourners of the world, to say the words of Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. Yitzgadal v'yitzkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'yizman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'elma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min Shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Zichronam livracha, may all of their memories be for a blessing, to which we say, amen. Please be seated. Oseh shalom shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. It is time for announcements, and so we bring up our very own Rick Brodzinski to share the good news of the community. Oh, oops, wrong religion. Sorry, guys.
Shabbat Shalom. First, I want to thank everyone for keeping the temple here while I was out of town for a few weeks. Torah study has resumed. Join Rabbi Zoe on Sundays at 9 a.m. This week will be online only. Check the weekly email for the Zoom link. Final call. October 25th is the last day to reserve warrior tickets for Monday, December 6th, Jewish Heritage Night against the Orlando Magic. Contact Janice Fontino for more information and to reserve your tickets. Please note that proof of vaccination is required for entry into Chase Center. Hanukkah is coming soon, very soon. Do you need gelt, candles, gift tags? Please pre-order online at the WTBT gift shops, Hanukkah specials, and shop by Tuesday, 10/26. Pickup day is Sunday, 11/14 during religious school or by appointment. And that gets all the stuff out of our dining room. On Sunday, 11/14, WTBT will be distributing pre-ordered latkes to go. See the weekly email for details on ordering and paying. And get your order list ready for Y Sons Deli, which will be having a Hanukkah pop-up on Monday, November 29th. Details will be available in a couple weeks. Although the crisis in Afghanistan is no longer front and center in the media, the Afghans who escaped still feel the impact. Jewish Family Services of Silicon Valley now welcomes these new refugees into the community. And in the past 2 months, they've resettled over 40 refugees with another 200 expected this year. Please see the social action page and please continue your support. And thank you to Susan Amaro and Michelle Eisenbruck for representing the worship committee tonight and to Mara Shade for doing the slide share. Shabbat Shalom.
And as always, thank you to Rick for those wonderful announcements. Okay, we now have the opportunity to bless one another. So reach out to whoever you are considering a loved one at this moment, or you can reach inward to think of those who are a part of you always. We say the words, "May God bless you and keep you. May God shine God's face upon you and be gracious to you. And may God's face turn to you and grant you peace," to which we all say, Amen. Amen. So, we will do some kiddush. If you are on Zoom and don't quite yet have your sweet drink and would like to do so, we are taking 1.5 seconds to allow you to really quickly run to your kitchen, go grab that sweet beverage, whichever it is, just as long as it's not water. And for those in person, we are on page 123. Baruch atah Adonai Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. L'chaim. Okay. And now we say the motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Okay. And we close out Shabbat with an oldie but a goodie. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat
Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom to all.
Shabbat
Hey,
shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Oh, there's the peeps.
It rained today. That was nice.
It was the best.
Mayim.
Mm.
Mayim.
Good Shabbos.
Shabbat shalom.